All of a sudden, the Oklahoma Sooners are getting way too much love.
You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Sooner Nation? Welcome to Locked On Sooners, and thank you for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there. Tune in and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. This episode is brought to you by the Amazon Fire TV Stick 4K. Turn any TV into your Xbox. No console needed. Head to amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to learn more. He's Jay Smith of Unfair Sports. I'm John Williams of Sooners Wire at USA Today Sports. We're going to talk through our underrated spring players from the offense and defensive side of the ball on today's episode. We're also going to discuss ESPN's latest top 25, Jay. And at this point in the offseason, maybe the Oklahoma Sooners are getting too much buzz, too much love.
Yeah, Mark Schlabach dropped his list. We saw what Greg McElroy had to say around Oklahoma, and the way too early has Oklahoma at number 25. Now, granted, you would think number 25, how is that, too much for a team? I mean, last year was a little bit of a struggle bus, but a lot of your national folks, talking heads, those that put together a list, we'll have a list for you all later this month once we start really going through all the opposition and everything, but John, what we're seeing is that they're recognizing the moves that were made in the portal. You're seeing that they have respect for the limbs that we went out for and the big game hunting that we did, and we were able to land some pretty big game. I mean, I'd say at least 4 players were massive additions just based upon their clout themselves, from Marvin Jones Jr. to Kendall Daniels to John Mateer and then Jaydan Hardy. I mean, that's just, if you just name just those 4, that's 4 pieces that just about any team in the country would wish they had their hands on. They're going to be in Norman. And there's a chance that it will be just for a year. So it doesn't hinder the young talent you have on the roster and their development, because you're not bringing in guys that's going to be there for like 4 or 5, 4 years or whatnot and replacing other players. You can still show the love and the admiration you have for the kids that you've recruited, in which Brent Venables and this staff has shown. So now the Oklahoma Sooners, their major focus is getting as many wins as possible this year and continue to grow with that as they continue on the recruiting trail.
Yeah, and when I say Oklahoma might be getting too much love, it's more of I kind of didn't mind Oklahoma flying under the radar a little bit, but go listen to the SEC Squad Show. Those dudes are giving Oklahoma some love as we get to this point in the offseason, and whether it's Joel Klatt or Greg McElroy or ESPN or JD Pickell, everybody's got Oklahoma in the top 25. And as you mentioned, it's out of respect for the moves that they've made, out of respect for what Jim Nagy's done since he's gotten to Norman, and the class and the talent that Brent Venables is stacking on this team. It's a much different team right now than what it looked like this time in December as you got ready for the Armed Forces Bowl. This is a much better team. It's deeper along the offensive line. It's better, not just deeper, but better along the offensive line. Even though 2 guys that factor into your 2 deep are true freshmen this season, I think everybody's excited about the potential that maybe those 2 guys, Michael Fasusi and Ryan Foje, could take starting jobs this year. You're better and more experienced at quarterback than what you were going into the Armed Forces Bowl. You are better at running back. You have a deeper wide receiver room than what you had this time in the Armed Forces Bowl. So everything on offense looks a lot better. You got to go put it on the field. You got to go produce and you got to go show it. But on paper, everything looks better. And defensively, even though you lost Danny Stutzman, even though you lost Ethan Downs, you lost Billy Bowman, you did bring in some significant pieces, as you mentioned, Kendall Daniels and Marvin Jones Jr. And they've got a great safety room following Billy. Like that's the thing that's really intriguing is you lost Billy, but maybe the safety room is the depth or the part of the depth chart that most people are excited about or the most excited about. So, man, like I want to kind of hedge a little bit, and I don't want necessarily Oklahoma to to be on people's radars, but at the same time, you're the University of Oklahoma. You're not going to be slept on. Everybody's going to be paying attention to you, whether you're coming off of a 6-7 season or a 10-2 season. It doesn't matter, because you're Oklahoma. People are going to be paying attention to you.
Yeah, we talked about that yesterday on the top 10 jobs. Like this Oklahoma's still a blue blood. It is a program that still demands the respect regardless of it having a couple of down years. I mean, yes, Brent Venables did have 2 6-7 seasons. He also had a 10-3 season in between there. And so as long as he can right this ship this year and continue to push forward, yes, Oklahoma is going to always be a program that people are going to want to have interest in. It has brand power. It is a brand that's known. It has, you say Oklahoma, people know that in college football. If you're a college football fan, you know Oklahoma football. So that's the one thing that, to me, makes me understand why a lot of the talking heads are giving the Sooners the respect, and they're saying, yeah, I think that Oklahoma can bounce back, that they're in a position to be better than they were last year. And all they have to do is now prove it on the field. And granted, the good thing is that they're kind of in a position to really show it. Like you said, we brought in a lot of talent. Now we just need to see it mesh. And the way it sounds, based upon these spring practices, a lot of meshing has been happening. And if they can continue to do that, John, there is no reason at all for us to not have one of those massive seasons. And everybody's like, oh, Oklahoma has surprised us. They done came out of nowhere with just all these wins. How did the Oklahoma Sooners do it? Nah, don't say that mess. We knew the team had a good roster. We saw the defense last year. The one thing we did is just needed, as we've repeated this ad nauseum, just a competent offense. And if Mateer and Jaydan Hardy and this offensive line is now healthy and actually has a 2 deep, they show up, John, we're good. We should be solid. You return Troy Everett. Fabichi will be better a year later underneath Bill Beatonbow. We've seen that proven. Derek Simmons walks in as a potential starter, and then you go across the way. Heath Ozido will be back from that shoulder situation, but Eddie Pierre-Louis already in there pushing people around. And you still got Jake Sexton. And so with Jacob Sexton over there pushing folks around, you're building yourself a solid 1 and 2 deep. So Oklahoma can start looking like Oklahoma again. We need to get back to the Joe Moore type competitive lines. And I think we can get back to that starting this season.
It's just about being healthy. And if you're healthy, you're going to be competent. And there's no way they're going to be as banged up as they were last year. Nope. You could say I'm trying to jinx it. Listen, I'll speak positively about this. They're going to be healthier. They're going to be much better. But they still have to go prove it on the football field. As excited as I am about this team, I'm still waiting to see them prove it. And I get why people are a little bit hesitant. Joel Klatt, even though he ranked Oklahoma in his top 25, he's concerned about the schedule. He thinks the schedule is going to be what makes or breaks Oklahoma's season. I just don't know if it's as tough as everybody wants to make it out to be. And at some point, we're going to go through each opponent that Oklahoma will face in 2025. And I got a lot of questions, man. There's not a complete team on their slate that has me thinking Oklahoma can't hang with them. There's not a single team on that slate. Will they win all those games? I don't know, man. Like, who knows? But on paper, there's not a team that they can't hang with at this point in the offseason.
That, my friend, I 100% agree with you, is I don't think there's anybody on the schedule that makes me say, okay, I'm very, very scared. The closest probably is LSU because they're bringing back so much talent and they got their starting quarterback. Everybody else, I'm like, they still got to prove themselves just like we do. And that's a good thing. That's a great thing for us as Oklahoma is we're the competition that we're playing against is not a bunch of teams that's just fully stacked. Everybody was reloading as well. And so because of that, we'll see. But we should be competitive, no problem.
Yeah, competitive for sure. They're going to be flirting with playoff contention as they enter November. And it's because they've got a better, deeper roster. Who are the most underrated players from the offensive side of the ball this last spring? We'll discuss coming up next here on Locked On Sooners.
Did you know your Fire TV is also an Xbox? Turn any TV into your gaming and entertainment hub with Fire TV Stick 4K devices. No console required. Just grab your pair controller, subscribe, or sign into your Xbox Game Pass Unlimited with EA Play included, and you're ready to play. Dive into hundreds of premium titles from EA Sports College Football 25 to Call of Duty Black Ops 6. As easy as you stream your favorite TV shows, it's gaming made simple, and it's all on your Fire TV. The best part about it is really the latest in technology in it. With Wi-Fi 6 and 6E, has auto low latency modes and advanced tech. That Fire TV Stick 4K gives you very smooth and very responsive gameplay. So while playing Call of Duty, you can make sure you get those shots and get those wins because of the lightning fast speeds you need to stay competitive. Also, you can grab that controller and take it into the kitchen, and with that Fire TV Stick 4K, take it out to your patio, take it into your bedroom, and continue your gaming no problem on College Football 25 without the concerns of having to hook up your controller in all these new places. So head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass Unlimited Ultimate subscription and compatible controller required. Available on select devices, including Fire TV Stick 4K 2nd Gen, Fire TV Stick 4K Max 1st and 2nd Gen, and Fire TV Cube 3rd Gen.
Thanks again for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Jay, who was the most underrated player on the offensive side of the ball this spring?
You know, it was really tough when I was looking and trying to think about, it's like, okay, what would you consider as underrated? And some of the parameters for me is someone that we know is holding it down, but they're not really getting talked about enough. Like, we know that they're doing their job, and it's one of those that it's the person that comes to work, does it, put their head down, get the job done, goes to lunch, comes back, finish their job, then leaves, and you barely recognize they're in and out. But the days that they don't show up to work, everybody knows that they're not there because certain things don't get done. So I looked at that and I'm like, you know who really does something like that? Troy Everett. I think Troy Everett's probably one of the more underrated players out there because when he came back from injury last year, think about it this way, John. When he played in the Texas game 2 years ago in 23, didn't look all that good. He's a little undersized. He's getting beat up by them Texas defensive linemen. So he had to swap him out. That's when Caden Green came in. We saw the emergence of him. He leaves, but then Troy Everett comes back this past season and he looks really good, and he's bulked up and he's gotten stronger and he's able to handle that line. Again, that second year under Bill Beatonbow, he looked like he was really refined. Gets hurt. When he comes back healthy, you start to see stability at the center position. Like he was your best dude there. You got stability back. So Troy Everett just stood out to me. So it was one of those, you can tell that Troy Everett didn't play in those first few games. You felt it. It was something that was extremely noticeable. You're like, why are we got so many centers? What's going on? Why is the blocking up the middle don't look right? But now that Troy's there, when he got back in place, you saw him pushing people around throughout the SEC. That to me is someone that's truly underrated, and we don't talk enough about him. So if I had to rank everybody, number one on that list right now, Troy Everett.
Yeah, I mean, things got better as the season went along, and Troy Everett is kind of the piece that came along that helped that offensive line get better, the run game get better in particular. Did you still have issues at tackle? Yeah, you did. But at least in the interior, you were a little bit better, a little bit more consistent. For me, it's Zion Kearney. And I get why, people
it's a good one.
Are maybe a little down on Zion. Like the last memory they have of him is the drop in the Armed Forces Bowl. But the dude had big play also in that game. Like he created a big play in that game. He got a lot of snaps as a true freshman. Are all true freshmen Jeremiah Smith and Ryan Williams? No. Those dudes are unicorns. They're once in a generation kind of prospects that are able to step onto the field and immediately be contributors and immediately be one of the 2 or 3 best players on the football field when they show up. That's not always the case. Zion Kearney, though, has a ton of talent. He was a 4-star prospect coming out of high school. He was a guy that could win in every area of the offense. He can win as a screen guy. He could win in the intermediates. He's got the speed to win downfield. He can be your gadget guy a la Adebo Samuel taking handoffs, taking reverses. He can help you in the kick return game. He can do so many things for you. And one of Jay's favorite things to mention about Zion is his blocking ability. And that's the thing that's going to get him opportunities to keep him on the field. And now that, listen, no Jayden Gibson, no Giovanni Gibson, and who knows if those guys are going to be ready for fall camp week 1. Well, that gives Zion Kearney an opportunity to go and solidify himself a role before the season starts. But I imagine that even if he's not a starter, he's going to be a rotational piece in that wide receiver room because he does so many things really, really well. Just needs more snaps, needs more experience, needs more exposure. And in an offense like Ben Arbuckle wants to run, that's going to be a little bit more passing friendly. It's going to be a little bit more connected, a little bit more cohesive. I think he's going to thrive a little bit more than what he was able to do last year when the offense was just not good.
Yeah, it was so bland and it was just nothing worked at all. And no, I agree. I think that now Zion Kearney's got the opportunity because he's got a couple of quarterbacks, not one, but a couple with John Mateer as well as Michael Hawkins that's going to be willing to air it out. You saw the connection between Zion and Michael Hawkins. And Michael Hawkins just needs to refine his game. And he refines his game. He's going to probably set the SEC on fire over the next couple of years. And so, but having a quarterback like John Mateer who knows the playbook, knows the system, and can give those tips is going to do nothing but make things accelerate for Hawk. But that's going to do nothing but help also a player like Zion Kearney because Hawkins was throwing him the ball like crazy. Like him and Hawkins were, they had you could tell they had a cohesion and relationship. Same thing with Zion Ragin. They had something there. And the unfortunate thing is both kind of dropped really deep passes that they should have caught. But at the same time, there's things that happen when you're a true freshman and things you have to learn. All they're going to do is grow from that. And so I love the Zion Kearney pick because he was one that I thought about the most as well. Because when I'm looking at and you said it perfectly. The one thing that always jumped out at me about ZK is he blocks. And he does a really good job blocking downfield. That's critical if you want your run game to be any good. And I think that that's where we saw our run game got better when Emmett Jones got in and you saw Gavin Sawchuck have that, big year, right? Rush for 744 yards. It was because the wide receiver blocking got so much better as the season progressed. He was able to break out and then be gone. That big run he had against Oklahoma State, I'm like, okay. You only get that when your wide receivers are blocking well downfield, and they're blocking every play. You start to see that growth in that as the season progressed, and that's what you need more of. So ZK, fantastic pick. If I really look at others on the list that could really be on there, honestly, Michael Hawkins could be one as well. We've heard great things about him in practice and how he was still lighting it up just like last year. Even after having a small procedure, he comes back, he's healthy, and boom, he's showing out again. And it's like, okay, the thing that helps Mateer keep the job is he knows the system very well, and he's a dude. We know that Mateer balls out. But Michael Hawkins is going to come out there and show up too. And what limited time we'll probably see this year is probably the goal is for him to redshirt. That way you can maintain him having 3 years of eligibility coming up. Hey man, you get him the ability to get him to play no more than 4, and you get him redshirted. Make sure Mateer has a really good year. Hawkins is gonna light it up next year.
I'm excited to see what he's able to do in Ben Arbuckle's offense. I really am. Too. I'm excited to see what he's going to be capable of in year 2 at the collegiate level. He showed some promising things as a true freshman in a terrible offense, and that's really hard to do. And I think sometimes we overlook that part of it. For all of those true freshmen that got snaps last year, the offense was not good. The offensive line situation was not good. The wide receivers were up and down and inconsistent. Michael Hawkins himself was inconsistent. The South Carolina game was not great, but he showed some promising things in the Tennessee game and the Auburn game that you look at and you're like, okay, this kid's got something. He just needs time. And I think that's true for all of those true freshmen. They just need time. Give them time, give them development, give them good coaching, give them continuity and cohesion and talent around them. And there's a chance that these guys are going to be stars in the making down the road. It's hard to find guys that have the speed that Michael Hawkins has and the downfield ability that he has as a passer. So if he can put it together and he can learn a lot this season and make some strides either on the field or off the field, in the practice field, in the film room, man, I think the sky is the limit for him. It's got to come together. He's got to prove it out there. But I think he's got all of the ability to go and be a big time player for the Sooners. And I think that's true for him, for Zion Kearney. And then, going back to Troy Everett, they brought Jake Michael in to provide some veteran competition at center. But I mean, Troy Everett could hold it down too, man. He's a leader out there, and he's somebody that will get the first opportunity to start. And Jake's going to have to come in and actually snatch his job and prove that he's a better option, because Troy Everett's been here now for this is his third season with the Sooners. And so he's kind of one of the veterans on this team. And I mean, I think he's going to go have another really good year for Oklahoma and then pass the torch on to Jake Michael for 2026. But there's a lot to be excited about on the offensive side of the ball, especially if they can be competent. It'll be fun to get back to actually scoring some points, especially when we get to SEC play. But on the defensive side of the ball, Jay, who is the most underrated? We'll discuss that coming up next here on Locked On Sooners. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all of your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money and start building your wealth. Managing money with your partner is smoother than ever. You can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year over at monarchmoney.com. Thanks again for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there tuning in, subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Jay, who has been the most underrated player on the defensive side of the ball for Oklahoma during the spring?
So we talked about this in the green room a little bit. And one of the things that I notice is, especially when we're talking about the underrated players, it's been quiet. Like, we haven't heard a lot on the defensive side of the ball, besides really the conversations around the new players, which I understand because, they're the ones we're looking at. We've seen some of the other players for a while, but one player that kind of jumped out to me a little bit that we heard some stuff about, but not a lot, truth be told, Samuel Masigo. It sounds like he's picking up everything that's been put down. Coach Nate Drilling has really got him going, and I know that we probably expect for it to be Kip and Kobe starting the season off, especially with the size of Kobe. He's built kind of like a Danny Stutzman, a little bit quicker, but really good at the run stuffing. And then Kip's going to go run around and do the thing that Kip does, because Kip's going to be Kip. You get a Kip 6 here and there or whatnot. So we're not concerned about him as much. But I think Samuel Masigo is going to work his way into getting some of those minutes with Kobe McKenzie, especially because he played a lot of critical minutes last year. He played some cheetah, especially when Dobie went down. But you start to see them shift him more on the inside linebacker spots. And honestly, he looked pretty solid. Wasn't perfect, grades were okay, but the one thing you recognize out of him is that he's picking up everything and things are starting to come naturally to him. And so, John, if I think someone is going to be really underrated next season, maybe Samuel Masigo. He may end up getting in there. He may steal a lot more time and snaps than expected and become a breakout player.
He's got all the tools to be a dynamic force in the middle. He's super athletic. He's fast. He's smart. He's physical. What else do you want from a linebacker? Now, I think they've got a really nice trio at linebacker with those three. So if they wanted to run a 3-3-5 sometimes with Sammy as one of your linebackers on the inside and running a nickel package with your defensive backfield, I think that's possible. If they wanted to run a 4-3 traditional base with those three guys as linebackers, I think you've got something to work with there. Now, typically they run a cheetah as their third linebacker or their fifth defensive back, but Samuel Masigo's athleticism gives them so much versatility, gives them a lot of options that they can do a lot of different things with in their back seven. So I think it's really intriguing to see how he's going to step up. Even if he just plays that third linebacker role, he's going to get a lot of snaps. I mean, Brent Venables since that 2022 season when he played, Danny Stutzman, David Agwebu, and Deshaun White, almost 1,000 snaps each. Like those three guys almost got 1,000 snaps each. And I think there was only two other players that played more than, I want to say it was Deshaun White at linebacker that season. He played so much. Since then, he's built up the depth at linebacker, Brent Venables has, and he's made sure to get those guys snaps because that's the only way they're going to develop. He even came out after the 2022 season saying, I really wish I'd have played my young guys more because there were opportunities to get them snaps, but we didn't give them those opportunities. So I'll be excited to see what Sammy does. Again, he'll get a bunch of snaps. Will he start? We'll see, but he's going to get a bunch of snaps. For me, this one has been really intriguing because I love our safety group. I think the safety group is going to be one of the strengths of the team with Robert Spears-Jennings and Peyton Bowen and Reggie Powers III and Michael Boganowski. But I think one of the guys that is kind of being slept on is Jaydan Hardy. Anytime people talk about the safety room, they generally mention those first four guys that we talk about. But some of the buzz out of spring ball, you listen to guys like Teddy Lehman and Gabe Eichert who got to go out to practice. They were really impressed with what Jaydan Hardy is capable of. I mean, he's one of those guys that can play that traditional free safety spot, play that middle third in a cover 3 defense. He can roam sideline to sideline. He can be a ball hawking safety. So I'm really intrigued by him, man. He's got good athleticism. He's got good size, and everybody just says he's a gamer. Like he brings it every time he's on the field and just goes about his business. Like you were talking about in the previous segment, like they're just a dude that just shows up to work every day and gets to work. And so I'm excited about him, man, because I think he offers something a little bit different, especially with Reggie Powers shifting more to cheetah, Michael Boganowski being more of your box guy, the guy that's going to be that big safety, playing more of a hybrid safety linebacker role. Jaydan Hardy's that guy that can cover that middle third and be the Billy Bowman or be a guy that can go take the ball away. And that's what you're looking for, right? Is guys to go take the ball away. And I think Jaydan Hardy's got that potential.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you there. And that has been the heavy buzz is that Hardy is fighting hard to get snaps away from Peyton Bowen. And, Peyton's our 5-star that we expect to do something. And if Hardy can fight and take some of those minutes and play, we already know that he's going to find a way to get to the ball. Hell, his first game at Oklahoma, he got an interception. Just like his first game in high school as a freshman, he got an interception. Like that's like the thing about him. I think his first game in middle school, he got an interception. And so it's like it's continuously on. Now the question
came
is,
out the womb and he got an interception.
Came out the womb, he got an interception. Let's see if he can do that also at the NFL level, if he can make it there. But no, that's the point. He's been able to find the ball, and at that spot, that's something you can use. And so he likes to hit, I know, but the buzz, like you said, there's been some buzz about him just showing up and showing out. I kind of would be intrigued to see if he ends up taking that next step and taking over. Hopefully Peyton Bowen becomes that dude. I know that was the thing Billy Bowman said. He kept saying that he's ready and it's now his time to do that. All right, show me, Peyton. Show me that you that dude. We expect you to be that dude. Show us you that dude. Eli showed us he's that dude. Now you show us he's that dude. You that dude. If that's the case, then secondary, all I know is Brandon Hall deserves a raise because that dude has done everything we've ever asked for because that secondary is loaded.
Yeah, it's loaded. One thing that's intriguing, man, and I think we haven't heard enough about this group, and that's the defensive end group. Outside of R. Mason Thomas and Marvin Jones Jr., who we've talked about a bunch, it's what's next? Who's that next guy in that defensive end rotation that's going to step up? Is it going to be a Danny Okoye, a PJ Adebaware, Taylor Wine, Nigel Smith, Wyatt Gilmore? Like, which one of these guys is going to step up and take a significant role? Because I think it's still very much a toss-up as to who that third, fourth defensive end is going to be.
Yeah, and that's the big question, man. We're in a situation similar, honestly, to last season and the season before, where you got R. Mason, you've got Ethan Downs, you've got Trace Ford, Cade Woolard. Last year and even the year before, you had a lot of veterans at the edge, and you're like, okay, Now who needs to play in what positions, what packages makes the most sense for these certain players to play. And I think you've got that now here. Marvin Jones, R. Mason Thomas, Danny Okoye, and then, like you said, Pijara Boare. If you can get them ready and good to go in certain packages, have certain packages where each one needs to play, certain pass packages, certain run packages, and be able to mix and match them, which it appears you can do that. Yeah, the edge should be pretty ruthless because we've seen them have their moments. We've seen them have those times where they've been a problem for others. They just got to keep it up. I think we couldn't get to that point.
Got to have somebody step up. I mean, you got to have a secondary pass rusher opposite R. Mason Thomas, and then you got to be able to send waves at these quarterbacks in the SEC. And the only way that you can do that is if these guys, Danny Okoye, Adepoju Adebawore, if they can step up and provide that tertiary or that secondary pass rush for the Oklahoma Sooners. And that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Sooners. Thanks so much for tuning in, being a part of the show. Subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, and available on every podcast platform and on YouTube. So hit that subscribe button over there and that notification bell to let you know when new episodes drop. Follow Jay at Unfair Sports. Go check out his channel, Unfair Sports, over on YouTube. You can follow me at John9Williams, and you can read my work covering the Sooners over at SoonersWire.com. You can follow the show at Locked On Sooners on all of your favorite social media platforms. But until next time, he's Jay Smith. I'm John Williams. We'll talk to you then. Have a great weekend. Boomer
Sooner. The underrated list is a lot longer than I thought it was going to be, though, John. We've got some players.
Got some players. It's too deep.